Hello, everyone. My name is Andrea King, and this is my interview presentation. I did my presentation on the development stage of early adolescence. Early adolescence falls under the ages from 12 to 18 years old. A little bit about the person I interviewed is her name is Madison. She is 18 years old. She's into her senior year of high school. Her mother's name is Sherelle. She is 50 years old and she works at a real estate place where she is able to help people with low income or no income coming in find a place to stay until they can eventually pay for their rent and somewhere to stay. Her father's name is Lloyd. He is 47 years old and he works as a technician at a college. Some special circumstances that have affected Madison when she was younger is that Madison's parents divorced when she was in middle school. Her dad remarried about 7 years ago, while her mother just remarried recently around 2 years ago. Madison is now getting used to sharing her holidays from both sides of her new families. She explained that trying to remember who she's with for what weekend or what holiday or how the summers and other breaks can be split up can be a little challenging and stressful. She also said that it could be confusing as well just because she's trying to space her time out and also build a bond with both sides of the family. Madison is one of 3 children. She has two other brothers. Her and her oldest brother are 7 years apart, and her youngest brother just turned 8 and they are 10 years apart. After she explained to me the age difference, I asked how close are her siblings with such a big age difference. She explained that growing up, she didn't really have a connection with her older brother because there was always such a big age difference. So she never really had someone to play with or talk to because he was at a stage where he mainly wanted to be by himself or he wanted to just hang out with his friends versus she didn't have anyone to have that companionship with. So when her younger brother was born, it was she was kind of relieved because she had someone that she could play with. Granted, she was older, but it was still nice for her to have someone that she could interact with, as well as build that connection with her younger brother that her older brother didn't necessarily build with her at her age. Madison, because of the age difference, and how far along they were, she depends on high school a lot to socialize with people around her own age. Granted, granted the big age difference, she also told me that she hung out a lot of times with some of her cousins who she considered sisters that she never had. So even though she didn't have that sister brother companionship, she had her cousins there to play with her, but also her cousins were also older, so it still wasn't the same as her playing with someone around her own age because it was almost as if she wasn't enjoying her childhood yet trying to fit in with those who were older. She expressed school as an scapegoat for her because it's a place where she can just be by herself and just relax and just express herself to her friends. I asked Madison what were some things that she liked to do whether it was in school, outside of school, just some hobbies just to get to know her. And she said that she enjoys working out, going to the gym, and cheerleading. I asked if she is on the cheerleading team at her school, and she responded that she used to be on the team during the beginning of the year, but she decided to let it go because she said it was a lot of drama on the team that she didn't want to be around, and also that her and the cheerleading coach had some differences, and she didn't want to mess that up with the team, so she just decided to let it go. The developmental milestones for this age group have been broken down into three categories of physical, cognitive, and social and emotional milestones. Physical milestones is the point where boys and girls are noticing the growth difference. At this stage, girls have normally reached their height at the peak of how tall they're going to be, whereas you can see boys that are still rapidly growing. So at this time, girls are normally taller than the boys because the boys are still rapidly growing and the girls have already hit their peak. Normally, early adolescents need more sleep, and that is because at this age group they are normally interacting more with extracurricular activities, whether it's athletic sports or clubs, and even waking up and going to school, whether you have to be there early for practice or how early you have to get. Normally they need more sleep. And they also have an eye coordination to learn to drive. And Madison told me that she was in a rush to learn how to drive because of her younger brother, and she wanted to be able to take some of that responsibility off from her mother, so she had that urge to drive. Moving on to cognitive milestones. At this time, it demonstrates the ability to reason or make educated guesses. It alters the way the mind thinks and setting future goals. I asked Madison what were her plans after she graduated high school, since she is a senior this year, and she's in the process of finding out where she wants to go to college. So she knows that she wants to continue her education, and she's making those steps towards her future goals and understanding certain consequences if she does not decide to go to college. She stated that graduating high school isn't enough to get the job that she wants to get. With that comment, I led into asking what kind of job did she want to do, or what is she want to go to school for, and she answered Madison wants to be an anesthesiologist. So she understands that with that job comes further education. Lastly, social and emotional milestones, and I've divided this into three stages of 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, and 16 to 18-year-olds, just to break that down and get a little understanding of that. At age 14, adolescents are recognizing their own strengths and weaknesses. During this time, they are easily embarrassed by family and parents. I asked Madison if she had was there any point in time where she was embarrassed by her family or parents. And she told me a story about how she used to go to the mall with her family, but she was meeting up with friends, and her mom would just hang around the mall, or if she saw her mom, she was embarrassed to see her mom if she was around her friends. So I think that personally, that at one point in time we all went through this stage of being embarrassed of our parents. Also, they're eager to be accepted by peers and may have many friends. During this stage, you're going to want a lot of friends, and you're also trying to figure out yourself to figure out who should you hang with or shouldn't hang with. 15-year-olds are more conservative. They don't want to talk as much. However, they can be argumentative. Um, they appreciate siblings more than parents. Normally, Madison, she explained to me, however, with the big age difference between her older brother, and her younger brother, since she looked at her cousins as sisters, she considered her cousins siblings. So instead of going to her brother, she went to her cousins more than she did her parents. There may be some dating at this stage, and also trying to analyze their own feelings and trying to control those emotions. Now, the stage where Madison is 16 to 18 years of age. At this point, relating to family becomes better. Madison learned to relate to her parents being divorced. She admits that she doesn't like the fact of her mother and her father not being together. However, she did explain that she wants her parents to be happy. So it's good for her to be able to make that understanding of her parents wanting to be happy, even if that means the separation of their marriage. Develop who they are and how beneficial friendships can be. She stated that she did make friends who she considered very, very close to her, so who she was able to go to for advice. And it was just nice for her to have that friendship with people her own age. Able to voice emotions, both negative and positive. That goes with Madison being able to talk to her parents about how she felt about her parents getting a divorce. She also told me about when she was playing sports, whether it was basketball, soccer, or cheerleading, that she was able to express if she was enjoying it or she didn't like it. So it was nice that she's able to have that connection with her parents. Group identity versus alienation is the psychosocial crisis during this time. I asked Madison how would she describe her social life. Her answer was that based off what she told me, she can fit in with group identity, and sometimes she also alienates herself. Like my presentation says, characteristics of early adolescence include physical changes, peer pressure, and the increase of cognition and emotional maturity. When Madison was associated with an athletic group, a sport, that's how people recognized her. It wasn't who she was, it's who she was associated with. That's one of the things that she didn't like about being in a sport or a club, which made her want to shy away and be by herself sometimes, just to be able to be herself. So she alienated herself just sometimes so she could have to herself, so she wouldn't always have to be recognized with that group. So she just would rather, she can balance out both, but she did say that she would more so like to spend more time with herself and alienate herself than she do group identity. The central processing is correlated with peer pressure at this time. Madison knew that being a group member peer pressure may take place during this time. She put it as if athletic sports clubs all have their price to pay. And I asked her what did she mean by that, and she basically said that it's we're all on the team because we have this talent. However, to hang with this team outside of practice, you have to have this type of personality, or you have to do this. It is basically being something that you're not. So she did admit that peer pressure can take place in sports. However, she did not give into peer pressure. I believe Madison will resolve her psychosocial crisis to group identity and alienation by finding a happy medium. Madison doesn't want to be labeled to a group, and she also enjoys being by herself. So, hanging out with people who are close to her, close to who she truly is, will help her with her alienation, because she'll be around people who is just like her or similar to her. Moving on to core pathology. What core pathologies or prom adaptive ego qualities do you think they're going to develop as a result? During this time, dissociation is reflected with this pathology, which also means withdrawal from others. It is socially distancing and their reluctance to make the kinds of commitments to others. In my opinion, I think the relationship her parents had made her shy away from any romantic feelings towards boys. She understood that when you're in a relationship that you have that love and that connection with someone, and Madison was afraid of feeling that connection and then losing it because of what her parents went through. So I think she avoided any romantic relationship due to that. Prime adaptive ego basically refers to the fidelity to others, which is simply another way of just saying the fact of mattering. Um, Madison just wants to matter to people. She matters to her family, especially her younger brother benefits because he needs her and she does a lot for him. Not only mattering to family, she likes to matter to her friends as well. Just having that feeling just can really open up, and it can really benefit someone. Um, our book discusses on page 377 that mattering is a relational aspect of the self concept that reflects how aware you are and how much others rely on you. So I just so she likes to be relied on. Navigation of previous psychosocial crises. She was influenced by both mom and dad. During this stage is the industry versus inferiority. When it came to sports, that was normally her dad's thing, so to say. Her mother was still a part of it, but when it came to sports, he was very athletic. He played basketball, ran track, and football. So she was eager to learn new things, and that excitement she had came from her father. Her mother was more so into clubs or decorations or any types of arts and crafts, which Madison also enjoys doing. So when it comes to that, that's normally her mother's cup of tea. But it's still nice that both her parents, despite having to remarry, that they are still able to support her and encourage her to do whichever she decides to do that they see fit. Some resolutions is that Madison has relationships with people who are part of a sport or involved in clubs. Um, she has supporters and is now able to talk to her parents about her feelings, both positive and negative. And she's able to understand her parents as people, not just mom and dad and what they're supposed to do. In conclusion, Madison is now making steps towards her future. She's applying to colleges, developing closer bonds with both her new families on her mother and her father's side. And overall, her parents are really proud of her. This is my presentation. Thank you.